Hi everyone, my name's Michelle and I'm Mama Loves You GB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram and Etsy as well. Welcome to the Sunday morning briefing. This is the Jubilee edition of the Sunday morning briefing. So congratulations to Her Majesty on 70 years. An amazing feat, the likes of which I don't think we will ever see again. It's been a fantastic few days here in the UK. I have to say, things were a little bit more Jubilee-like in the Cotswolds than they were when I drove back through here. I don't think I saw a single piece of bunting in our little village in Wales. However, our village in the Cotswolds was absolutely bedecked. You could not move for Union Jack bunting and things going on. So I'll put a little picture up actually of Broughton on the Water and all the bunting that was up over the river. It looked amazing. I've dug out our family Union Jack. This belonged to my late uncle, and I think it may have even been present at the coronation. It looks that old. And I dug out, we were going to have a little drink, so I've got a bottle of fizz in the fridge, but then Mum says, oh, you know what, I fancy a pina colada, and we'd bought some of those like really cheap frozen pina coladas. So that's what I've got, but I don't think I've given it the appropriate amount of time to unfreeze, because there's quite chunky bits in there. So throughout the course of this episode, I'll probably end up with more of a drinkable pina colada. Although it seems to be lacking like the kind of cream ice cream. Sorry, I'm annoyed with my hair. It's been tied up all day, so it's kind of doing its own crazy wavy thing. Right, I've got so much to share with you, so many exciting things to share with you today. In terms of my stitching, I seem to have stolen defeat from the jaws of victory today. I was hoping to have had 2 finishes for you, and I don't have a single one. But never mind, I've got other things, other interesting things. I've got haul, I've got near finishes, some information about my samplers. Exciting. I've got 2 giveaways. Well, actually I've got 3 giveaways from 2 different people. I've got the normal freebie. I've got so much to share with you. So I just want to say a quick thank you to all my new subscribers. I've had quite a few people subscribe recently, and thank you to all those of you who bought me a coffee. There is a link down below if you'd like to do that. I am working on a special chart which I hope to be able to send out as a link to everybody who's bought me a coffee. So look out for that in the next few weeks. I've just got back in and sort of starting to say my thank yous are over the website rather than just over the over my channel. But thank you very much to all of those of you who've done that. I'm sort of looking on the side there because I've actually had to write some notes down this time because there was so much I wanted to talk to you about last week and I forgot. Right, let's have a look. I'm just going to sort of start at the top really, and we'll go from there. Now I've realised I think I've left something downstairs, but I'll put a picture of it in. I'll put a picture of it in, unless I've put it somewhere really odd, but it's quite big, so I'd have thought I'd found it. Anyway, this was one of my things that should have been a finish. And this is Chubby Bird, which should have been a finish, but for a beak and 2 legs, it would have been a finish. It probably would have taken me less time to put the beak and 2 legs on it than it would have just been to give it an iron, but I chose to just give it an iron. And I shall be making this into the top of a jar lid, and I'll put the picture of the jar up. And I got this idea from Christina at Whilst Iris Naps, who, if you haven't seen her latest FlossTube, she's gone a little bit crazy for putting things on top of jars. So while I was in Sainsbury's do Arrange from Habitat, I saw this gorgeous glass jar and I thought that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make that into the topper. So you can string me up if I haven't got that finished by next week, and hopefully fully finished. I was hoping to have it fully finished. What else have I worked on? I've just dropped it off the windowsill down the back of the radiator, so I'll have to de-dust that. What else have I worked on? I worked on the Sleeping Bee by the Blue Flower. Now I just saw the pattern for this downstairs and I didn't pick that up either. So things are going well. So there she is. She has even got a piece of thread hanging, and let me tell you, that piece of thread is hanging there in disgust, in disgrace, because I picked her up. I think I put in maybe those 2 snowflakes and those there. Went to start on the cones, that bit of greenery at the top there. Got it wrong about 4 times. Got in a ratty with it. Decided it wasn't for me at the moment. So yes, there we go. I shall be back to this. It's going to go on the top of a box. I have a nice round box for it, so another thing that's going to become a lid. But I've got to get round to finishing it. So that I haven't stitched on. Sorry about that, my phone just said it was low battery, so I had to plug it in. So yeah, this I stitched on a little bit, but not very much. The majority of my stitching has gone into Cherry Jubilee by Teresa Kogut. And again, I was very much hoping, see where we are, that this would have been a finish. I have literally got the white to fill in on the top of the saying there, and the little doodads to go around the border, and an eyeball. And so I was hoping to have had this finished, but again, it just didn't work out that way. So this is stitched on a piece of 32 count fabric that I hand dyed myself, and this was a chart from Teresa Kogut's Patreon. So I'm hoping to have that finished, because I do have, I think, a frame for it. Now I'll show you these now just because we're talking about them. But I was on eBay, and I always have a look on eBay at the frames, and I found a guy selling some antique frames, and they were actually frames from the National Library of Wales. So they've come from the National Library of Wales. So I picked out 3. This one, I'm hoping to get this as my screenshot, so that was a bit crazy, wasn't it? Let's try again. This beautiful frame here. Now, it does have a gold slip in it, and it's a beautiful oak frame. And the Teresa Kogut piece is going to be a little bit small in here, so I may actually, where is she? I may actually add another border just to bring her out. Let me try and hold her up. This is not going to work, I'm sure. I may add another border in there just to bring her out slightly, but we shall see. I may decide to keep it for something else. What I'll do is I will start to put her on a piece of foam core when she's finished, and actually put her into the frame properly when she's a bit more tension, and just see where she comes to. Because I like my frames to fit quite neatly, so we'll have to see whether she goes in there or not. But I did buy 2 other frames from him. Again, frames from the National Library of Wales. So I like the idea that they were staying in Wales. I bought this one, which, if my calculations are correct, should fit my Welsh sampler Margaretta Jones when she's stitched. However, my calculations should have been correct on that one, so heaven only knows what will end up in there. And then this one I bought for no other reason than I like it. And if I haven't got something that's going to fit into it, then I will design something to go into this frame, because this is, I just love this type of frame. The really long, thin frame. I think, if I remember correctly, it's 66 centimetres by about 15 or 16. So I can just imagine a beautiful horizontal sampler in that. I think it would look fabulous. And again, that one came from the National Library of Wales. So I'm looking forward to being able to use those and put those on my wall. Now, what have I done this week? The biggest thing that I've done this week for me, just for me, because I've done other brilliant things with my family, but the biggest thing I've done this week for me was I went to the Patchwork Rabbit, and I met up with Carla and Catherine at the Patchwork Rabbit, because I had taken 4 samplers down to try and match my threads for. Now, Margaretta Jones turned out to be a bit of a non-starter at the moment for matching threads. I've started to chart her, but her back colours are so different in some places to her front colours that I'm not entirely sure yet which side I'm going to go with. Because when I bought her, I really liked that kind of pale green with the red. But if you look on the back of her sampler, a lot of what is the palest green was actually quite a grey blue. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with her yet. So I'm just going to put her just on the back burner a little bit. So I found some threads. I'm going to start off with the least story, shall we say. This one, which I've already charted, as you know. So this is Sophia Stafford. Put her over there. She's in terrible condition, but on the back you can see that she was once quite a lot brighter. So Catherine and Carla, who's the rustling, took charge of finding the threads for this one. We kind of picked one each to start with. Excuse me, just dropped one on the floor, which I can't pick up. There we go. So yeah, Carla and Catherine took charge of this one and found the threads for this one. So I know there's one missing because I pinched it. I pinched it for Susanna Eccles. More about Susanna Eccles in a minute. So here are the threads. So the border and the red, should I say, I'll just put those there, are going to be endive or endive from the Gentle Arts, and then red rocks from Weeks Dye Works. So if I just hold those up probably onto the back, you can see what a good choice they made. And then other colours that are actually in there. Ginger Snap. I've dropped another one. Hickory Sticks. And I've got a cough. Going well. Pink Sand. Pebble. And what have I dropped? What did I drop? Palomino. So those are the other ones which will be going into her. And caramel corn, because caramel corn I pinched for Susanna Eccles. So she's charted, she's just waiting for me to get around to stitching the model. Now, I took the easy one. So the one I picked to chart or to pick colours for was this one. It would appear that my mum's just had a notification on her iPad. So this one is Catherine McBride. Now I said to you that I thought I'd found Catherine McBride last week, and then I did a video about her when I'd actually properly found her. So this is an Arran sampler from the Isle of Arran. Sophia's family were from the Isle of Arran, and I've actually joined a couple of Arran genealogy groups, and I've posted her on there to see if I can find out some more information. So, you know, that type of ancestry that the records just don't tell you, the interesting stories. So I picked out, there's actually 4 colours in this sampler when you look at it really, really closely. So the red that I chose is Cherry Cobbler by Classic Colourworks. One of the greens that I chose is English Ivy. Now the green at the top is actually different to the eyelet green. So I chose English Ivy for the green at the top, and then a bit of a group effort, we chose Juniper. Was Juniper, yeah. Weeks Dye Works Juniper for, whoops, where is it? The green in the eyelets. And then Weeks Dye Works Charcoal. Oh dear. Weeks Dye Works Charcoal for the ones that have deceased. Have deceased, are deceased. Have died, are deceased. Let's get a reasonable grip of the English language on the Jubilee weekend, shall we? Now, as I said, I've managed to find her, and I did a little video showing how I use Ancestry to actually try and get a good handle on a family tree. So that's on there for you to have a look at if you want to. If you're interested in doing any searching on Ancestry yourself, it can be a little bit confusing just to begin with, but I find that that's the easiest way to just kind of get people in the right order, make sure you've got all the initials that you need to have, all the people that you need to have, make sure that the right ones are dead. So this was her family tree. Now I'm not going to go through it all because you can watch that video if you want to, but I'm going to tell you who these people are. So these are her mother and father. So this is Archibald McBride and Mary Fullerton. And then these all along here are her brothers and sisters. So they are Mary McBride, James McBride, Janet McBride, who died, Anne McBride, John McBride, Margaret McBride, Catherine McBride, and Elizabeth McBride. There we go. Now I think there may be another Janet as well, although I'm not entirely sure. There's a bit of confusion over a Janet McBride. Now it wasn't unusual for another child to be named after a child that had died, but the dates are a little bit confusing, so maybe not. And then over here you've got her grandparents. So on the top row there you've got James McBride and Janet Fullerton, and I'm not entirely sure who those two are. And then here you've got John Fullerton and Mary Curry, and they had other children, Anna Fullerton, Robert Fullerton, and I'm not entirely sure who they are as of yet. So I've not charted this one yet, but I will be charting her quite quickly because I do really like her. There's something I really like about her. But the one that I said that I thought I was going to go with is our little lovely lady, Susanna Eccles. Now this is her out of the frame. Now when I bought her, she was in, let me just find and hold it the right way up. She was in, I forgot I'd taken that bit out, this beautiful rosewood frame. And actually this rosewood frame's probably worth more than I paid for her. And she was, let me just hold her in there like that. She looked like that. So I took her out because hopefully when you take them out of the back of the samplers you're hoping to find the entire birth certificate and all the information that you need. But alas, there was nothing in the back of her. I have got a potential for her, but only if she spelt her name as it was given, and only if on the census it's written correctly. There's a lot of Susannas with H's on the end, as you might imagine, but there's only one Susanna who spells it like this. So that's why I'm saying provided she spelt it the way she was, whoops, actually baptised, and that it's been recorded correctly on the census. Other than that, I think she's going to remain a little bit of an enigma, because there's a couple of other candidates and there's no way of telling really which it would be. So as I told you last week, I had taken the sampler some of the pins out really carefully because it was almost impossible to do without damaging the fabric. And I was looking at the back, and she has done a repair across there, so she's got an extra bit of border on the back that isn't there on the front, which I think is incredible. So we spent a good amount of time trying to match threads for Susanna and to get the right fabric. Now, I didn't realise when I wasn't in a position of somebody who was going to sort of chart and release a sampler, I would have just kind of got the chart from somebody, dyed my own fabric, and I'd have been away. But when you're doing that yourself, you kind of feel a little bit of a responsibility to make sure you choose a fabric that people can get hold of, and especially in the UK, that can be quite tricky. So the fabric that I've chosen is a brilliant match for her, and I think it's one that either people will be able to get hold of, or they'll know what colour it is so they can choose an alternative. So the colour that I've chosen is Weeks Dye Works Mocha. Cocoa. Sorry. I just said to myself in my head, it's cocoa, not mocha, and then mocha comes out of my head, out of my mouth. It's Weeks Dye Works Cocoa. So if I just hold where I've been stitching up, let me just fettle her. There we go. So there she is. Let's come back a little bit because she's a little bit more of a sort of brown than that. And so the match isn't too bad. It takes the colours really, really nicely. You could even go a fraction darker, but it takes the colours really nicely, I think. So I've started on her border, and obviously I couldn't not stitch that amazing tulip, and I've got as far down as the little fruit basket. So this is going to be my focus for the rest of this week, and I'm going to try and get her finished. Now, the fabric that I'm stitching on is actually a 30 count because that's what Patchwork Rabbit had in stock. She's not going to be far off at 30 count her original size. She's not going to be far off. I would like to get hold of some higher count fabric because I really want to see her small. I think she's going to look so beautiful small. Now, I've got the chart for this, and there's one other person on the planet who has the chart for this, and that is Laura, the serial starter. She contacted me after I'd shown her and shown the progress that I'd made charting her, and we were just chatting backwards and forwards, and so I said, look, I'll send you the chart, and she's going to pick, well, she's picked out the called for colours, and I think she's going to pick a suitable fabric. I did suggest to her that from what I'd seen on the screen, I thought American chestnut might work, but obviously I've never seen it in person. So she has got her, and I know she's got the threads, and she's excited about stitching her. So I'd imagine she's going to be working on 40 count, maybe 36 count, but probably 40 count. And so I can't wait to see her because she's going to be little, really little. So I'm hoping, as I said, to finish her off this week, and maybe release her next weekend, or certainly towards the middle of June. So if you're looking forward to stitching her, you haven't got too much longer to wait. And whilst I was at Patchwork Rabbit, I picked up a couple of other things. I picked up Kathy Barrick's Spring Pin Drum. There we go, which I love. And I see there's an autumn one as well, so I might have to get that one. I haven't got any of the threads for that. I just got the chart. And then I picked out a few other threads. I picked out some threads that I needed for Chubby Bird to finish him off, not to leave him beakless and legless. And I also picked out some of this ruby slipper, which I just thought was amazing. Now, I'm really keen on doing the one from Little Robin Designs about the Queen in the when the queen is happy, there's peace in the kingdom, something like that. I'll have to put a picture up because I can't remember quite how it's worded. I think it's called Peaceable Kingdom. But I thought ruby slipper would be fantastic for that. Put that back in later. What else have I got in my pile? Let's do freebies and giveaways. So I'm going to start with the freebie. This is by Heartstrings Samplery, and I don't think I've ever seen this before. This is called 3 Peacocks, and it's a faithfully reproduced antique sampler, which sometimes when Beth puts faithfully reproduced, that does include missing stitches as well. So that is what she has charted for free, which I think is incredible, from Heartstrings Samplery. And she says, it says, what is truly important is that once upon a time someone decided to make a little candle mat, chair arm cover, wall hanging thingy. So you could do all sorts of things with that. You could make it into a little needle book. You could make it into a little wall hanging thingy if you so choose. But it's not very big. It's about 50 by 110, just looking at the chart. 54 by 108, there we go. And charted in DMC. So I'll put the link for that down below. And then I've had smoother pina coladas, shall we say? And then Ruthie from CrowsFeet Stitching contacted me, and she has released 2 new originals. So if you've seen anything from CrowsFeet Stitching before, you'll know that Ruthie does a combination of her own original charts, and she does fantastic reproductions. So this is the first one. So this is by The Pricking of My Thumbs, and that's by CrowsFeet Stitchery. And she has done this one, which is Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, which is lovely. I really like them. In fact, I really like both of those, and I would love to get around to stitching those sooner rather than later. Now, Ruthie has given me 1 each of these to give away as PDFs, so that means you could be anywhere in the world. So I think we're going to go summer if you'd like to enter for this one, and we're going to go, let's go with thumb, 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 with that one. You can enter for both. You have to be over 18 so I can legally have your email. Don't say giveaway, don't say freebie, anything like that. So yeah, thank you, Ruthie. If you would like to purchase those, oops, where are we? If you'd like to purchase those, then you can just go straight onto her Etsy shop, which I'll obviously put the details down below, and you can grab them straight away if you would like to. Now the other one was from Josie at Willow and Brook Needleworks, and she has got a new one out as well called Margaret Thomas. Now the colours in this are just amazing, and it's one of those nice long thin samplers. And she has given me one to give away as well. So you can enter for 3 different giveaways this week. And let's go with Thomas for that one. So Thomas for this one, thumb and summer. So if you can come up with anything really creative and inventive for that, then brilliant. I can't wait to read it. Now, I will remind you of this next week as well, but Josie has given you all a discount code. If you want to go and just grab this, it's a 20% off, and the code is Celebrate20, and I'll put it along the bottom So if anybody wants to go and grab that straight away, you can do, but you're more than welcome to enter for it, and I will remind you about the code next week. So there's those. Right, what else have I got to share with you? Just a little more couple of things that we did this week. You'll see that I put some pictures up of the lovely Snows Hill Manor, the most gorgeous, gorgeous Cotswold home in the middle of Snows Hill. Now you will have seen Snows Hill, but you won't have realised it. Bridget Jones's diary, the first scenes where they're in the Cotswold village covered in snow is Snows Hill. And it is just the most beautiful village. The Snows Hill Manor is owned, well, was owned by Charles Wade, and he was just a collector and somebody who just appreciated handcrafted, well-made things, and he collected so much stuff. And he's got a really, or he had, should I say, a really phenomenal collection of needlework bits, of costumes, of children's toys, lots and lots of Chinese and Japanese antiques. I learnt the meaning of the phrase sleep tight. So on one of the beds up there, they had ropes, so the mattress wouldn't have never had spring. Words in the right order in English, Michelle. Okay, so the mattress would never have had springs. So what they would have done is they strung ropes underneath instead of putting bed boards, and then you could tension those ropes to give you the kind of fit of the bed. A bit like a memory foam mattress of its day. And so the phrase sleep tight was when they tightened the ropes going under the mattress to give you a really firm mattress. There's all sorts of things there. You could spend hours and hours. The gardens are absolutely beautiful. We went to see the samurai suits. It's the biggest collection in the UK of samurai suits, because Nesta's karate, and karate has its roots in samurai. So she wanted to go and see those. And we also went to Chedworth Roman Villa, which is, I haven't been there since I was a kid. And it's got these fantastic mosaics. It was probably one of the biggest Roman villas in the Cotswolds, which, if you know anything about the Romans, the Fossway was one of their main routes, and this Roman villa was right next to it, so it was superb. And the flooring that they've got there, and the baths, and you can see all the plunge pools, the hot, the cold. Oh, it's phenomenal place to visit. I might have put some pictures up of that, you never know. What else did I get this week? I got just some plain white fabric to dye. Gonna have some fun with that. And then I got my patchwork rabbit, no, start again, fox and rabbit, my wrong rabbit there, fabric of the month. Now I've just got to make a quick apology to everyone in the UK who gets this, because it arrived with me on Tuesday, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, but I was away in the Cotswolds. So my friend came and got it so that it was nice and safe, and then we were back on Friday, so I was ready to post it out on Friday, but obviously it was Jubilee, and so all the post office was shut, so it has gone out to you Saturday morning, this morning. But it did take a long time in transit this time. The first time they sent it, it was here within like 3 days. It was incredible. In fact, I think it got here quicker than it got to some of the places in Australia. But this time it seemed to spend ages. It seemed to take a long time from when I had the initial notification that they'd posted it to actually arriving in the UK. So it is on its way, so apologies for that. I am going to show the colours because I know other FlossTubers have shown them as well. So if you're in the UK and you don't want to see the colours, then just kind of hide. Do that just for a little while. So I'm in the neutral club, and once again Karen and Bren have been very naughty and sent me the brights as well, or the colour one. So this is the first one. So this is fabric of the month, rose quartz. So let me just see whether I can. It's probably, this is going to be a hard one, probably about there. So a beautifully mottled pink there. And then they sent me the coloured linen, which is jade. Ooh, look at that. How amazing is that colour? I love that. It did make me think maybe I should do the new Witchy Stitcher Supernatural one, but I haven't finished the Cryptids one yet, so I don't know. But there's also a pattern by Stitching with the Housewives, the little black bunny on the green fabric, that I really like, so I might do it on that. But that's jade. And Fox and Rabbit now have a Patreon, and I decided to join their Patreon. So I joined in May, which I think was the first month, and so I've had 2 patterns so far. Both of them have been kind of one ornament or pin cushion type size, and then one kind of like a smallish sampler. And she will be sending out, or they will be sending out linen about 4 times a year as well. Excuse me, and doing like online stitching events and Zoom chats and all sorts of things like that as well. So that's 2 Patreons that I'm in at the moment, Teresa Kogut and Fox and Rabbit, which I'm loving both of them. It's just amazing. What else have I got? I think that's pretty much nearly it. I picked up one other little frame, which isn't really much to write home about, but I just quite like I just quite liked it. So it's just a little, I picked it from a charity shop. I quite liked the little clip there. So I don't know what I'm going to put in there. I've got loads of stuff to finish. I just haven't got the finishing bug at the minute. It's probably just because everything's everywhere. We are going to be having a new kitchen. Everything just doesn't fit at the moment. Nothing fits right. Everything's always everywhere and out. And so getting around to getting my sewing machine out and getting all the things out, it just would be adding to the chaos and confusion at the moment. So I haven't done it. Oh, and this was the other thing I bought. Just a little basket from TK Maxx. TK Maxx. I just saw it on the side and suddenly thought I hadn't mentioned it. So next week I will have 2 finishes, if not 3 finishes. I'm going for a finish on Chubby Bird, legs and beak. Could probably get that done tonight. I'm going for a finish on Cherry Jubilee, and I obviously want to make sure that my little Susanna is ready to go as well, because she's a little bit of a star, I think. Let's just show you her again. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I will see you next week. Stay classy, stitchers.